Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, and in this video, as you can see from the title, this is my guide to how I do my base makeup. I really do similar things every time I use my base. People always ask me how I do my base, how I keep it so flawless. A lot of it is skincare, but where I haven't, this is how I have done my base today. There is also a tutorial coming up. Well, not a tutorial, I'm copying somebody else's. I just want to show you what it's like to copy somebody else's tutorial. So thank you for watching. Keep watching to see what I do with my base makeup, and I hope you enjoy the video. Bye guys! As I said in my introduction, this is a tutorial for my base makeup. I don't know about you, but I really struggle to do my eye makeup without doing my base first. I know a lot of people that do it the other way around. I see a lot of YouTubers that do their makeup, their eye makeup first and then the rest of it, and I don't know why, I just can't do it. So I thought I would show you what I use. I use it every single day for my base, and the products might vary, but this is the way that I do them. So the first thing I use is a colour corrector, and this is, this is the Master Camo by Maybelline. I absolutely love this product, and it has become a firm favourite in my collection. So because I've got dark circles, well, not dark circles, I basically have discoloration on my eyes here and underneath, and what this does is take it all back to that neutral stage. So this is a pinky colour. My skin is yellow toned, which is why the pink works well to bring it back to a better place. Not the correct terminology, but it's because I'm trying to do two things at once. So I use it around the eye and on top of the eye, and I find it works really well for me. So the first things first is that I use a sponge. This is the Morphe sponge, but I have so many different ones that I try out. I quite like this Morphe one actually. I'm actually very impressed with it compared to some of the others, and it's not too difficult to get now. It's on Beauty Bay, and it's also quite budget friendly. So I just pat that into the eyes. I then, if I have any blemishes, I take a concealer that is similar to my skin tone, and the one that I'm using is the e.l.f. concealer. It doesn't actually say what it is in Fair, which isn't fair at all. It's not brightening whatsoever, but it is concealing. So I'm just going to take that on my nose because it's a little bit red. I would use a green concealer, but I don't have one. So I'm just taking this one and just putting it on the areas where it's affected the most, especially where I might have been picking. So I don't know if anybody else has a habit of just picking at their skin. So I don't necessarily have breakouts, but I've got like a massive pore on the side of my face, and I always pick at it. It's really silly, really. And I'm just going to take that on the areas that I just want to mute a little bit, but I don't want it highlighted with a lighter concealer. This hasn't changed really much in the last few years, so you've probably seen me do my makeup like this. So this is the Illamasqua Skin Base in the shade SB03. Admittedly, this isn't my shade, but it's just a tiny bit too light. But I don't mind. I do have other shades, and I used a different one at work, so this one I'm just using up. So I just dab it on the face with the Beauty Blender or sponge, and I just keep dotting it around the face in different areas, and the same around the jawline, and then I start to connect the dots. I always forget with this foundation that I don't actually need that much for full coverage, which is good because it's not a cheap foundation, it's quite an expensive one. So I will look at getting a different shade because it is slightly too light. You can see on my skin it's making me look a bit ghostly. It also doesn't help that I think the lighting, I'll just see if I can adjust the lighting for you a bit. A little bit. So it's a beautiful day today, by the way, absolutely beautiful. So I'm just adding this, and then patting it into the skin. My skin isn't too bad. I know I'm lucky. I've always been lucky. Even as a teenager, I didn't really have many breakouts. I get hormonal breakouts, but what woman doesn't? And I do think I'm quite lucky to have the skin that I've got. So I don't need the most full coverage foundation, but what I do need is a foundation that just evens out the skin. And I also find that I've tried everything to apply. I used to use my fingers when I was younger, then I used a brush, one of those sort of flattish brushes, and then I used a buffing brush. But I do find that this is the best for me because it shears out any full coverage foundations and it just makes it look airbrushed. So it's my favourite way to apply. You might have a different way to do that. So I've now applied my foundation. It's a liquid foundation, and I'm going to apply my brightening concealer. So this is the Naked Skin Urban Decay concealer. Weightless complete coverage concealer. I don't hear many people raving about it, but it was really popular and then people stopped raving about it. But I really like it, so I just take it under the eye, on the forehead, and then on the chin. I used to put it on my nose, but my nose doesn't really appreciate more product. So I'm just going to use that, and I'm just going to pat it in with that edge. And I'm just going to brighten up the under eye. Now, if you wanted to, I don't need to, but a lot of people like to do it. At this point, you could bake under that area. I don't feel like I need to do that as much. It's a way to help make your concealer set, but also to brighten the eyes a bit, stop creasing. But that's if you really suffer with bags under the eyes or trying to keep your makeup set for longer. I don't bother with that personally, it just doesn't suit me. I'm going to use a setting powder now because I've just used my concealer. I could also use a cream contour at this stage, but I'm not going to because one, I don't have one that I like that much, and two, I don't actually need to contour that heavily today. And also, I want to show you with my powder contour what I do. So I'm just going to take a big fluffy brush. This one is from Wilko's. You guys have seen it a million times before. It cost me £5 and it's just stunning. It does need a wash, so my apologies for how bad it looks. And I'm just going to tap it and push it into the skin. Basically, because I have done that with the Beauty Blender or the sponge, if I pat that powder in, it just sets the makeup. I just use a very small amount, otherwise it will look cakey, but it just sets what I need it to set, and it takes my skin. I don't want my skin to be too mattified, I just want it to be set. If I feel that my skin is looking a little bit cakey or too matte, I then go in with a setting spray. However, I'll be doing that after I use my contour and blush and highlight. So, contouring. I'm going to use a powder from Makeup Geek today. It's this one here. It's called, I think it's called Bad Habit. It is. The shade is called Bad Habit. I'm going to use a contour brush from Spectrum Cosmetics. Spectrum, not Cosmetics. If I can find it. It's so difficult to find anything in this box. Come out, wherever you are. There it is. It's sort of wide and also narrow at the same time, so it's quite a nice shape. So for contour, it depends on your face shape. However, a lot of people use the 3B effect. So essentially you're doing a B like this and a 3 like this. You're trying to make your face look a bit more shapely, and you're also trying to hide any of the imperfections here if you feel that they're imperfections. It's up to you. So I use it quite lightly. So I tap it off and then I put it just here, because for me too much can be a little bit difficult to blend. I'd rather put less and build it up than put more. So I'm just, see there, that's quite dark, but if I blend now and blend it down into the neck, I want to have quite a distinctive line. This is quite a warm, it's not warm, it's like, it is a warm shade, but it's not too warm. I also have this one here, which is a bit more grey, but my skin doesn't really work with that shade. So again, just doing it there, following. So if I go, you can see where I should have had a cheekbone. I still don't have them, but oh well. So I'm just going to add this to those areas, buffing upwards and then buffing into the hairline. And I'm just going to go underneath here as well, like I did with the other side. If you've never contoured before, just start slowly and start by adding in, you know, the colours you need to add in, but as light-handed as possible. I'm doing it quite heavy so you can see where I'm doing it, but it also looks very unblended on camera, I always think, although that's pretty bad now, look at that. Which is fine, because the thing is with makeup is, yes, it's difficult to, if it was cream contour I'd struggle a bit more, but I've got this lovely big brush and I've already used a powder on it, so I can buff out what I'm not enjoying. You can see how that's blended a bit more, but still giving me that shadow. If you want to make it even more striking, you can add concealer. If you want to blend it more, you can buff out with your powder brush. So there we have the contour. You can see now I've really put a shadow here on my face. Here is it. I always get this side. It's really hard to do the same on both sides, but you will get used to it, and nobody's perfect. So that's how I view it. It's all about practice, practice, practice. So today I'm going to use a blush from this beautiful blush palette. This is the Saharan Blush Volume 2. I think this one has got some real potential and there are some beautiful colours. I'm going to use this shade Lena and I'm going to mix it in with Tau, and I'm really going to tap that off because I love the colour, but I just don't want the intensity that it's offering. So I'm going to add that to my cheeks first. I'm just going to add little by little, just so that it builds. It's such a pretty blush palette, this. I don't want to over add the blush. You can just see it there. I think that's really pretty. It's a nice matte blush. Yeah, that is a nice colour. There we go. So I've taken it a bit higher on the cheeks today, and that's what I like. I'm going to take this blush here, which is pale pink, and I'm going to use that on the apples just to give them a... Oh, looks a lot darker on camera than it does. It's so funny. You can barely see that in real life, but on camera it looks really dark. I don't look this pale either in real life. I think I look the skin tone is a bit different. But yeah, I think that's pretty. And then for a highlight today, I am using the Model's Own highlight in Golden Sand. I don't think it's very golden. I think it's quite peachy. So this is what it looks like here. You can see that now. And I'm just going to take a little highlighter brush. Oh, let's find one. So difficult when you're blind to find. I always say this on my videos, but I genuinely cannot see anything without my glasses. So you guys have the privilege of me rooting around in my pot to find stuff. So this is my Real Techniques brush, and for highlight for me, I like to dip it in, tap it off, and then I literally just put it on the highest point, and then I will blend that out after. Can you see? Oh, you can't really see. See if I can. Let's take it down a bit. There we go. So there's the highlight there. I just like to put it I don't want to put it all the way over my cheek. I just want to put it on the highest point. There we go, just like that. And then I'm just going to buff that out slightly because I don't want it to be as intense, but it's such a pretty colour. There we go, that's better. Lovely. So I just put it there and I just put it there. So that is currently the way that I do my base makeup. So I've done all my powders. The final touch really is to put on the Dewy Finish setting spray by NYX. I also really love the Rimmel one, but this is the one I have to hand. I just feel that when you're using a setting spray, it really helps to make the makeup look flawless. I feel like it mixes it all together, and I just really like it. So that is how I do my base makeup. Hope you've enjoyed the video. Let me know how you do yours, if there's any tips you could give me, and I will see you in the next one. Bye guys.